Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Gyle here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. Happy Thursday to each and every one of you, and there's pro-level ladder action on the table this afternoon, chaps, to keep you warm at night. Very exciting indeed. First of all, a couple of announcements. First one's tourney-related, and Speed2 has got in touch, and very much similar to the last few tourney announcements we've done. He would like to remind everybody that his second round of Prince or King and Prince of Map tourney kicks off tomorrow. Yes, that's Friday the 13th, and that's going to be on Loki, so it's the worst map in the game on the worst day of the year. Personal preference, of course. Other maps are available. Sign up time obviously for that is running out quickly, so if you want to get involved, do so ASAP. Secondly, the Egg Roll has his 2v2 Pro Joe tourney coming up this weekend, guys, and if the tournament tab on FAF is to be believed, I think there's only 14 signed up to it, so please, if you're interested in signing up for that, please get involved. It's going to be very cool. I've said I'd cast a few games, very exciting. I love Pro Joe tourneys and the mess and the chaos it creates. And if you're a pro, guys, and you think you found a Joe who's playstyle doesn't induce you to vomit immediately, then why not bring him on down? Remember, there is going to be $25 to the winners each member of the winning team, so a little bit of remuneration for you there. Why not check it out? Anyway, that's enough of that. Secondly, thirdly probably, I've had a few people inquiring after donations and what's the best way to support me. First of all, thank you very much to the very generous donations I've had in on my PayPal recently. It does help support me massively, guys. I've had some really generous ones, so thank you very much indeed. You know who you are. I also have been looking into the prospect of alternative methods of helping fund the channel, one of which was actually to create a new channel, which would have been Gylecast Prime, which would have been paid subscription based, where I could have had extra content and maybe played a few games, had a few rewards for those people who sign up to it, and get people casted fighting me, destroying me, that kind of thing. But Machinima are kind of douchey when it comes to helping small affiliates like myself, and they said they're not rolling out those secondary SVOD channels to small affiliates as of yet. So I've been looking into other things, and a few people have mentioned Patreon. And if you don't know what that is, that's kind of like Kickstarter, but instead of a single big campaign, it's kind of an ongoing campaign. So you have goals of how much to reach every month. People kind of subscribe, and it helps keep all of your content free to those of you that can't afford to offer everything. And there's the video running out the background. That looks great. You see, if I get a little bit of extra funding, stuff like that won't happen. But yeah, so it's other ways of looking at it. I have started a page. It's not gone live yet, but I would just like to let you know that I am looking into that. So if you've been hassling me about getting Patreon, I think I might go for it, and go for it soon. So that is enough of that. Anyway, let's look at today's game. Like I said, it's going to be a ladder match. It's all going to go down. It's all going to go down. God, it's all going to go down on Roanoke's Abyss. So let's go on over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. I don't even know what accent befell me there. That was quite strange and horrendous. Anyway, let's take a look at our players. Up here at the top in the red corner, we have CommBomb. And I haven't done any username utility searches on these guys, so I don't know if they're actually better, well-known players. He's an 1800, so it could be any number of people. But we're going to be referring to him as CommBomb for this one. He's going Aeon, opening first air. That's kind of an interesting decision on Roanoke's. After all, it is a very heavily water-based map, obviously. And in a 1v1 situation, certainly Aeon not typically seen as the best navy. I do like their destroyers and their cruisers. There's kind of direct fire, high damage blasts that they kick out. But ultimately, they have very slow muzzle velocity, and it makes it very easy to evade. So this chap he's fighting down here in the blue corner will be happy about that. It's Kjellberg, and someone maybe from Scandinavia will be able to tell me if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It looks like a Kjellberg, and more importantly, it's fun to say as well. So I'm going to be saying Kjellberg a lot during the course of this one. I'm not going to say he's misclicked and gone Cybrin. He's chosen Cybrin, and for very good reasons. I'm going to stop the Cybrin bashing, or try to limit it to as much as possible, because people getting very upset. People get very territorial about their races in Subcom. It's kind of astonishing. Anyway, he's opening first land, second air, and the problem I have with Cybrin, I don't think they're OP or anything. I just think they're fugly. They've got some kind of strange Mordekaiser death metal thing going on, which really doesn't suit me at all. I'm more of an easy listening kind of chap. But anyway, there he is. And I would say he's facing a pretty... well, he's got a pretty significant advantage in the naval side of things, being as he's facing off against an Aeon player. You might say, well, you know, naval map, auroras and everything. Yep, of course, floating auroras would be fantastic. The only problem is with that is they're a light T1 unit, and you're not going to be able to hit them quick because we've got a 20k map to deal with here, so that's a long distance for CommBomb to travel. Anyway, initial engineers out for all of these guys. CommBomb heading to the small close side islands, and you notice as well that this is Roanoke Abyss, the basic one, not one of the versions 2 or 3 or anything like that. This is the original map, so it's got all of the strange uneven mass placements. So you like over here they're all wonky, and then over on the other ones they're neatly on the side. And I think it's this island up here that has a larger hill than any other, which cuts down on building space, but that really doesn't matter for a 1v1, so why not stick with the original vanilla maps? I say vanilla, of course. I'm not sure if this actually made any kind of appearance in the original SOCCOM or whether this was FA only, but it certainly is one of the classic maps. It is in fact the classic Phantom map. It is mainly used more than any other. But taking a look at where we're going now, we're already seeing engineers make their way to the southwest and southeast island. In fact, he's already there with the southwest, throwing that land factory down on that one. We've got a bomber moving out here for Kjellberg to the northeast island, and he's just hovering up there waiting for the inevitable engineer to make his way over there, but I think he's going to be disappointed. It looks like it's going to potentially be the ACU, and he's not going to score any kills with just the bomber over there, so that is not going to be an engineer kill for him. We have got naval factories being spammed up at the front of Kjellberg's base, 4 of them to be precise. That coincides with the one for CommBomb, which has gone up on the other side of the map. But we do have a chariot loading up build capacity as we speak. Now, where's he going with this? Of course, early transport's a regular feature on 1v1 Roanoke's Abyss. There's so many islands to capture, and you can get yourself a decent advantage. In fact, that's the second one. The first one is already away, 4 units of build capacity on board, and it's making its way down to the southeastern island. Now, although Kjellberg's already there and he's already got a land factory underway, that is 1 unit of build capacity against 4. That is going to be a large advantage on the ground for CommBomb, should he be able to keep it. Meanwhile, we've got a Skyhook making its way to the far corners of the map, and I think he's going to be making a play for the northeastern island. However, the ACU is already going to be in attendance by the time it gets there. We do have landfall at the northwestern island for CommBomb, 4 units of build capacity, immediately starting to work on a land factory, so that looks like it could potentially be a hold for him. But the first few naval units now making the appearance on the field, and it's Kjellberg who has the majority of them, in fact all of them. We do have naval factories in play for CommBomb, but they're not currently working on anything, and CommBomb actually taking a little bit of bomber fire from that lone bomber up the northeastern island, but interceptors come in and make short work of him. He's not going to worry about that single bomb. He's going to go about his business picking up those extra mexes, and that early land factory there from CommBomb immediately produces 4 Auroras, takes down the poor little engineer. He just wanted to build that and get back to his family. That will no longer happen, and I think it's fair to say that land factory probably going to share a similar fate as that Mantis that comes off the conveyor belt there immediately gets blapped out of existence. We've got an Eruptor and a Seeker, that's T1 PD and anti-air in place there for CommBomb. That is going to be a solid hold for the moment, but of course not going to take too much in the long term to dislodge him. It's very close to Kjellberg's starting island. You've got all of these naval factories in play. Only takes a couple of naval units and certainly only the odd T2 unit to dislodge this. But of course, very importantly, it's early mass that Kjellberg will be going without. But look at that, immediately talking about a hold for CommBomb, and suddenly Kjellberg pops up with 4 units, 5 units in fact, of build capacity, throws down 2 PDs and a radar, and immediately starts erecting a land factory. So we're going to have a little bit of a face-off here. A Fervor comes out to join those units. He's going to range attack the auto guns. That's going to be the end of that. Build capacity would be the smart choice afterwards. He has to be wary, of course, with the other auto gun. Can't go charging in with the Auroras now. He's going to let the fervors finish off the NGs. Wise move for Kjellberg would be to move those NGs out of harm's way. It's going to be an interesting little battle. We've got an air versus navy battle over here, although that is just one way. No air-to-ground weaponry there for CommBomb. Those frigates just firing back at those inties. And a little bit of a naval engagement over in the northwest. So let's just keep an eye on these two theaters as we're getting a decent step up in the pace of play here now. And a chariot as well coming around the right-hand side of the map. In fact, that's going right to the bottom right-hand corner. So it looks like we're going to get a bit of a proxy naval base build on the cards here, and those units of build capacity for Kjellberg forced to retreat. Which direction is he going? He's going up and sitting in between the two islands up there, and that is going to be the end of those land factories and those auto guns. So nice hold there from CommBomb. Those Auroras we saw earlier moving off to take the mass extractors, but look out, Kjellberg over here in the northwest is coming with his ACU to take charge. It's a very aggressive move indeed. To take charge of things in this top island. Those frigates now completely out of range for any major kills. He's got them sitting up here. You'd think he might be able to pick off the odd mass extractor there. If he came in and sat in here, he might be able to challenge some of those mexes, but he's not doing it at the moment. But there we go. Engineers in the bottom right hand corner spamming up 4 naval factories, and that could be very interesting indeed. We'll have to keep an eye on that as the game progresses. 12 minutes gone in this one so far, and CommBomb does have the mass lead, or of course the moment I say it, it drops down, but that's because he's bottlenecking on power. But when he's at full power, that seems to be like he's got a good 10, 12 mass lead or so. And we also have a transition to T2 Navy from CommBomb. He's got that Vesper there chasing down a few of these frigates who are trying to work on some of the T2 mexes on CommBomb's main starting island. And I think they're going to get at least one of them. One of the Tridents goes down, but they will manage to get that T2 mex, and that should go some way to evening things up here. More Tridents heading in from the west as well. How long before the next Vesper comes out? It's going to be a little while. Only 20% complete on that. In fact, a good bet, rather than going after the mass extractors, would be to kill some of the build capacity around the T2 factory here. We'll take a look at what Kjellberg can see. And you see he's well aware that that is where the threat is coming from, but he thinks, well, I'd rather work on mass if you don't mind. And I think he's going to be able to grab that one and this rear one as well. And he's doing a pretty good job here at mitigating the problems caused by this invasion in the southeastern island. He now takes the mass lead with that little Trident strike there, 77 to 69. So very good work indeed. He's still behind on power though, 1.8k to CommBomb as opposed to the 840 that he's sitting on. And what have we got going on down here? Well, we've got an upgrade to T2, and that's a pretty good decision as far as I'm concerned if he's going to affect the main base with any major damage and possibly wipe it out, stand a chance of wiping it out. He's going to want destroyers and cruiser techs, especially to be able to prevent any counter-attack from the air. Now, Kjellberg has taken a little bit of damage on his comm here. You can see him retreating from this northwestern island, and that will be because hastily CommBomb threw together some eruptors. So lots to concentrate on in this one. The combat really is all over the place. And of course, the moment I say it, we can head back down here and see that CommBomb's actually been dislodged in the southeast. Salem's turning up off the coastline there and busy killing off the last few units on the ground. That one land factory not going to last too long. You can see CommBomb's not even bothering to build out of it anymore. He says that island is done. I'm not going to be able to hold it. Still some Auroras kicking about, but Trident mopping up the last of those. But cheeky little Auroras in around the back, and they might actually take down a T2 mechs here. Yes, they do. Very good work indeed. And they managed to snipe the autogun before it completes as well. 2 units of build capacity say, well, we're going to carry on building the wall sections for it. Why not? Always fun. More build capacity heading to the back of the island now for Kjellberg. No doubt wanting to start a new T1 PD. It's incredibly irritating, but I think the Tridents that are making their way around the back of the island now should be able to deal with it. And we've got T2 air tech on the field now for CommBomb as well. He's going to be heading out with some skimmers. But all in all, not looking too bad for CommBomb in terms of general map control. Could potentially be a problem over here. We've got a massing of some naval units, 2 of which are destroyers. Those Salems cause huge amounts of difficulties. I could see this island being the next to be taken down, in fact. And if Kjellberg's got any smarts, that's what he'll go for. I certainly think he has, considering he's down on map control, but up on mass, 89 to 86. Very nice work indeed. Inti sent out after these skimmers, going to shoo them away. But a little group of Vestas down here just picking off the reinforcements that are emerging from the main base there. Those Auroras are still alive somehow. A merry band of Mantis show up to deal with them. They're not going to be able to grab another mechs. Kjellberg bottlenecks himself on power quickly. Drops down to 46 mass per tick. Shows you how dangerous it is getting caught out on the power side of things. I do love those Exodus destroyers. Yep, they're not great one-on-one Navy battles, but they're so tanky. They're so great at base bombardments, and they just sound fantastic. That huge... That's almost like I actually added the sound effect. Once again, all planned. Everything here at Gylecast is, as you guys well know by now. 4 units of build capacity begging for a shot. Oh, come on. No, he's focusing on more important things, clearly. I think I have some very unhealthy preoccupation with mass engineer casualties. Slight accuracy issues there from that destroyer, but he manages to pick off another one. So the fight for mass supremacy going strong in this one. More reinforcements coming in from the right from Kjellberg. Those Vespers doing a good job at keeping them away from that destroyer, though. Meanwhile, in the northeast, as we suspected, that island going to suffer casualties, and I think that's going to be a win for Kjellberg. Nothing else in the area can come to their assistance there in the northeast, and still getting set up over here in the southwest is Kjellberg, yet to retake all of those mexes. But look out, that proxy naval base in the bottom right hand corner now beginning to bear fruit as those 2 destroyers sit just off the coastline bombarding the main base. Tons of T1 PGens to get stuck into there, and not a bad decision. Kjellberg actually very tight on power, it would seem, so that could cause some major difficulties. Take a look at what Kjellberg can see. No idea where they came from, of course. Could have just skirted down the edge of the map. So, for the moment, unaware of this major danger. 77 to 79 in favor of Kjellberg now as we approach 20 minutes in this one. Another horde of Auroras. They're not going to last too long against those frigates and that destroyer. And now we've got cormorants out for Kjellberg, who's trying to counter these destroyers and these subs with torpedo bombers. Shame for CommBomb, he doesn't have a cruiser in the mix. Unable to do anything about those torpedo bombers. Definitely wants to hang around and take down those two mexes if he can. Nicely done. And that drops Kjellberg back into second place in terms of eco, in terms of mass, certainly. Major issues as well around the main base. Suddenly, things not looking great for Kjellberg, but rather than draw these back, he knows they're probably not going to have a huge impact on the units down here. He's going to go on the offensive, and it's aggressive, and I like it. That's a good decision. Those two Salems are going to be key. He needs to keep those alive. He does have Vespers bearing down on their position. Brings back those T1 units. He's got a couple of slivers on board, which should help. And now those Vespers are caught up in battling those, and the Salems are free to go on and harass the main base. Very nice work indeed. And Trident slipped past the mix down at the bottom as well to once again pressure that northwestern island. So it looked like he's actually getting a handle on things around the main base. Potentially, lots of T1 P-Gens have been destroyed, but he seems to have rectified his power issues elsewhere. So it's not going to bother him too much. Another T2 mechs down. But CommBomb also under pressure at the top. You can see he's lost one on his own island. So fine are the margins in this game. It really could go either way at any time. Now, is he going to be able to save it? No, he's not. Down goes another one. Vespers coming in. But those Salems look very healthy indeed. Not going to help if he's eating Exodus fire unnecessarily, however. Needs to get those Salems moving in a lateral direction. So the two battles at the moment fundamentally seem to be up in this area and down at the bottom. But the main base has been attacked pretty badly, but it's still operational, and being as there's a T2 Air Factory HQ in there, I'm pretty surprised that he's not just heading around the back and bombarding that. Certainly there's a core T2 mech that's operational, although it won't be for long. There's a T2 P-Gen that is begging for a kicking. Could once again put Kjellberg in jeopardy with his power grid. Build capacity getting slaughtered around the new naval yard again. But another attack by Kjellberg forces CommBomb to back up. We have another Exodus incoming, but just not able to commit enough to keep the threat alive down here. He does have two other T2 naval units up here that have been harassing the southeastern island. But the threats are gradually getting dealt with. Kjellberg has backed off. Been forced away by that Vesper and Exodus pressure. And it looks like that is going to be the end of CommBomb's little press on the main base for Kjellberg, at least for the moment, as that Exodus gets sunk rather conveniently right next to some engineers waiting for a reclaim there. But this little naval yard base down here for CommBomb is working wonders. Kjellberg needs to neutralize that as soon as possible. And now we're starting to see some cruisers in the mix. That will help deal with those cormorants, those pesky torpedo bombers that have been giving him so much jip so far. And now finally we're getting some coherent battle lines drawn in this one. Map control looking, well, not far off, around 50-50. Let's take a look at the reclaim side of things, how these two guys are doing. CommBomb's picked up 10,000, 10,500 mass so far, and 11,500 there for Kjellberg. So minor advantage, but it's not anything that's going to tip the tables in the game. But both these players, very marginal amounts of mass between them. CommBomb ever so slightly ahead for the moment, 85 to 83, but you can bet that kind of thing is not going to stay stable for long. It certainly hasn't throughout the course of this one. Vespers and Exodus shadowing this new group of units coming up now for Kjellberg, and moving in the wrong direction. I say shadowing, but they're moving off. They really don't want to be giving up control of this island once again. I'm not sure what he's doing. I can only assume he's concerned about the attack that's going on down here at the bottom. Definitely doesn't want to lose those cruisers. I can understand that. You can see what I mean about the difference in the way the units fire. Good micro means that pound for pound, the Cybran player is going to be able to outmaneuver more often and more effectively than the Aeon player. And once again, that northwestern island challenged and destroyed by Kjellberg, keeping the mass gap incredibly tight. What have we got going up here? Well, we're still working on skimmers. Mass production for both of these guys increasing slowly, despite the amount of attacks that have been going on in different parts of the map. Slowly approaching that 100 mass per tick threshold. But very heavy on the cruisers here. I would be concerned about that unit mix if I was CommBomb. I would want more destroyers, some Vespers in there as well. But a cruiser getting taken out there by Kjellberg, losing a bunch of cormorants in the process. But that's what happens when the units get spread out like that. Now we're seeing the odd Vesper come in to join. But how incredibly annoying these Salems are. Such a wonderful tactical unit. I say it just about every single time. You guys must be sick of hearing it. But such an advantage having a boat that could walk. Douchebag Cybrans. I said I was going to ease up, and I will. And it'll start tomorrow. But no build capacity in the area whatsoever for CommBomb. In fact, have we got them coming off here? Well, they're on a patrol route at the moment, so he's concerned with reclaim. If I were him, I would be getting some more transports together and working out how to get that island back, because now he has slipped behind 112 to 97. CommBomb, despite this sublime incursion down here at the bottom right, yet to make it pay. Kjellberg getting re-established now. Vesper's engaging a trident down there at the bottom. And Kjellberg pulling away drastically now. 16, 15 mass per tick. But he has managed to push those Salems away, and there is the build capacity incoming. It's got a lot of work to do. See, it's very much a different thing. Despite essentially sitting on 4 islands, he is well behind in development, and Kjellberg, who's now sitting on only the 2 main islands, has a very much more condensed and defensible position. So all of these T2 mexes in here are going to be bringing in drastically more than the weak T1 mexes that keep getting picked off on these extra islands. One of those interesting little quirks about SOPCOM, which is nice. It's not always about map control. Development is just as key. CommBomb really needs to destroy. If he can take this island down, he's going to go ahead. But this isn't good. The naval base at the bottom has been caught out by a ton of tridents who are just massacring the engineers. And that's a beautiful sight. Very, very sad indeed. Aeon engineers, they all have to enlist very young. Aeon Corps of Engineers only accepts applicants under the age of 20, so that's an awful lot of young men sinking to the depths there. Very sad. Down they go. And that T2 naval factory, along with its accompanying T1s, are going to get killed off there. CommBomb, rather surprisingly, starts work on some T1 frigates and such, but I don't think they're going to get completed. Stand virtually no chance of that, I would say. Swiftwind's coming in to protect this lone Exodus now, sitting off the corner, had a Vesper for company, but down it went. And Core Mass now getting its mass storage plonked down next to it, and that's when losing them really begins to hurt your financial situation. Kjellberg has taken a little bit of fire over on the southwest island. Meanwhile, that ACU on 8,200 HP immediately starts work on some scuttles. T1 torpedo launches there for Cybrins, or for the Cybrin. That's going to keep his commander safe. The question is, can he bring in reinforcements quickly enough to prevent the complete destruction of this island? And astonishingly, I don't know if that's power stalling. No, it's not. CommBomb has momentarily gone ahead. Yes, he has. 103 to 88. But then again, he's losing the northeastern island. This game is just back and forth. It's all over the place. Completely tit for tat, and once again these guys not far off level. That T2 Mex is going to die. Very peculiar game indeed, but enthralling. No idea who's going to come out on top in this one. A decent rank of veterancy there for that destroyer gives him a chunk of extra HP, but a Salem and a couple of Tridents turn up, and that extra rank isn't going to do him any good as it sinks to the depths. But look at this. Where did they come from? 3 Wagners coming in from the back. I don't know whether that was some outrageous around the map attack. Those of you watching you now will be able to see for yourselves. But you've got to kill that T2P gen. I don't think he's going to, though. In comes the ACU and a unit of PD gets thrown together in time as well. What's left of that merry band of Tridents that just attacked the northeastern island now begins to press CommBomb's main naval facilities. Couple of exoduses in the area and another one further back should mean that he manages to hold on to this, but he's going to lose a bunch of build capacity in the process. Tides on the way, or at least one, should help dispatch those Tridents. There it goes, but lots of engineers bought the farm on that one, and if anybody knows the etymology of where bought the farm came from, do let me know, because that is a peculiar expression. Another engagement brewing over here to the left. 35 minutes gone in this one, and yet to see any Tech 3 of any description. That is how tight this game has been. No time for tech. Build T2 and throw it at your opponent immediately. Kjellberg once again asserting himself in the mass game. 112 to 110, fluctuating back to 100, so slight advantage for the moment. Let's take a look at Reclaim, see what's going on that side of things. Well, 24,000 just passed there for Kjellberg and climbing. CommBomb conversely sitting on just 13. So that is how Kjellberg is managing to get back in this one. That's quite a large amount of mass. More or less twice what CommBomb has harvested so far. Bad place to sit with your skimmers, taking unnecessary anti-aircraft fire. Salems and Tridents don't have the most potent anti-air weapons, but they do have some, which of course is en masse stacks up. You compare that to the Exodus, which is another reason or another issue with it. Absolutely no anti-air to speak of whatsoever. Loathed as I am to say Cybran should be or are better at anything, but they do have their strengths, and certainly they are stronger, as everybody is, than Aeon when it comes to naval side of things. Build capacity being airdropped to the southeastern island. 38 minutes gone in this one, and once again the action slows right down. A few units making their way around the edge of the map there for CommBomb. If we got a move command, I don't believe it. Getting in there and rebuilding, because why not? It's exactly what they won't be expecting this time. I applaud the initiative, but that group of units should easily be able to brush aside CommBomb's newly established base there. Yes, CommBomb's got some engineers rebuilding over here. He's got one engineer down here. This group of Engies that have been dropped off down here by Kjellberg are about to be discovered. One Exodus would make short work of them, but they quickly start throwing together some land factories, and that is in the nick of time. But Kjellberg going to destroy everything on that northwestern island once again. CommBomb trying to reciprocate. Has a bunch of destroyers and Vespers in the area of that southwestern island. Picks off T2 mechs, but is under sustained pressure from all directions. In come the swift winds for no apparent reason. There are no cormorants in the area that he has to worry about. Precautionary measure, I guess, but he's going to lose a few of those rather unnecessarily. Lots and lots of tracers being thrown together on that island. I'm surprised these units up here at the top left haven't been given their marching orders to go against the main base, and that has allowed CommBomb to get a few more destroyers into the picture. Very nice work indeed. Kjellberg still just ahead, but will he be? After this, we've got two T2P gens. He's desperate not to lose. One more shot on each should do the trick. There they go. Drops him down over 1,000 power. And CommBomb takes the lead in mass. I can't believe it. But they really are so incredibly effective at base bombarding. Another group of Salems turn up though. Vesper's trying to harass them from behind, but they don't last too long, and that is a lot. How many has Kjellberg got there? 10 destroyers. So CommBomb is going to back up, save what he's got, team up with the other 4, and leave 2 more out here, or 3 more, sorry, to finish off what's left of that base. He doesn't want to get embroiled in shooting at the commander. He's never going to get the kill. He needs to focus on killing mass. We said that Kjellberg needs to get a move on while he's taking fire unnecessarily. Down to 5,000 HP. And into the red, 3,200. Oh my god, Kjellberg, move your bloody ACU. It's going to be close. 2,500. Kjellberg finally wakes up and gets his ACU moving. And not before time. Another group of destroyers moving in. Torpedoes could have finished him off. Oh, do you ignore the Salems and just go after the comm? A strap bomber comes in over the top. Kjellberg narrowly avoids it. Regen takes him back up into the yellow, but that strap bomber still a threat. Is he going to be able to Roanoke himself out of this one? Oh, direct hit. 400 hit points and climbing. But the Salems and the Tracers are enough to pick it off. Another strap bomber coming in from the east. Kjellberg could do worse than to get himself back underwater. Strap bomber, are you going to get your bomb away? Yes, you are, but it's well wide. And he's got a whole air force, it would seem, in tow behind him. God, that was close. Clutch evasion there from Kjellberg, who nearly bought the farm inside the 45-minute mark. Nearly bought the farm again, Gyle. There's a lot of that going on. Lots of farms for sale. Salems trying to pressure the main base, but not going to get anything done there. So more strap bombers emerging. CommBomb, the first to bring out any kind of T3 tech, it would seem, on the face of it. As those last few destroyers for Kjellberg retreat, and under a little bit of torpedo fire, it's not really going to be enough to do anything, to achieve anything. CommBomb ahead once again. This game has been back and forth right from the get-go. Power desperately needed for Kjellberg, who is completely out. This has really got to hurt his chances. Killing his mass generation. What on earth is he building that is requiring so much power? Well, that would be an upgrade on his commander. take a look at what he's gone for in just a moment, but that's hampering just about everything right now, and it's going to add to the advantage, eco advantage, well, long term. That is, of course, unless Kjellberg is going for the RAS upgrade. Hasn't got it as yet. He's sitting on T2. Wouldn't make sense to go for anything else at this point. Will that put Kjellberg back in front on eco? We'll take a look at reclaim. 58,000 and climbing for Kjellberg. CommBomb on just 20. So despite the mass advantage in generated mass, Kjellberg has been keeping up and probably pulling ahead. That's why he's looking so good on the field in terms of the amount of Salems he's got out. And that accumulated anti-aircraft fire is making life hell for CommBomb, who's trying to counter with those skimmers but just not getting anything done. So Kjellberg up to 121. We can surmise that that indeed was the RAS upgrade. There it is. And now just look at the map, how that has changed in the last 5 minutes. Northeastern Island out of commission. Last mechs about to go down. There it goes. A large blob of Cybran Navy to the east of CommBomb's main base now, which is the only base left to him on the field, with the exception of this small proxy naval base that's been re-established down here at the bottom, but hasn't had a chance really to do much. What is CommBomb spending his mass on? That is the question. Producing Solaces, so T3 torpedo bombers. And he's coming down here for it. Could he be looking for a comm kill? It's going to be tricky, what with the amount of cruisers, but CommBomb well aware he has been beaten out on the field. That spy plane hovering overhead. Solace is inbound. The lead one takes a lot of cruiser fire, but they're going to pass over 4 more. Will they get a round of torps away? Yes, they will. You can see those torps now heading into the commander. Oh, takes him immediately down to 4,700. We've got another one coming in, but interceptors sitting there waiting for him, as well as the cruisers. Will he get his torpedoes away? No, he will not. And that was another gutsy snipe attempt from CommBomb, who looks now to be all out of options as a veritable tidal wave of Cybran death converges on that main base. CommBomb looks like he might be trying to extract his commander and enact his very namesake. That is a dead island as far as I'm concerned. Those quantum reactors going to bite the dust. One lone restorer coming in for a bit of pressure, but gets insta-killed, and it looks like Kjellberg is well aware of what's going on. Inti's dispatched. And moving so slowly. That is just, of course, we've been looking at the T3 air on the field, so it seems much slower by comparison. Where on earth is he going with that transport? Waypoint set to here for the moment. Needs to be very careful indeed. There's a ton of cruisers kicking around that will absolutely massacre that transport and anything it's carrying. And he's coming over here, perhaps maybe wanting to try and spam build some static torpedo defense, but in comes a wave of Intis, shoots it down, and CommBomb doesn't stack the landing. Unbelievable. He sticks the landing, but then goes up seemingly out of nowhere. I have no idea whether that was a delayed reaction or whatever, but somebody can watch that back. CommBomb drops out 51.25 minutes. Kjellberg emerges with the win he deserves. No successful snipe there for CommBomb. That last base out of commission. What a slow but very entertaining back and forth match that was. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. As always, though, more to come from me in the future. In the meantime, stay well and stay safe. This is Gyle signing out.